How's it going, guys? My name is Splattercat, and today I've been playing a bit of Age of Wushu. As you can see, I'm traveling around, there's not much going on, and so I decided to be productive and help you guys out, the newer players, help the newbies out with understanding what's going on in the game. I started playing a week or two ago, and there's a lot of things that I wish people had told me when I first started out, because a lot of things in the game are not explained properly, and there's not a lot of areas to go to if you want to learn things. Now, there is a guidebook up here called the Jung-Hu Help that you can click on, and it's got various areas that you can look at things, but it's still a little convoluted, and honestly, that's not even the issue. Sometimes it just feels like things are poorly translated. So, among the things when you first start out, let's start with our backpack menu. So I'm going to hit the B key to open up my backpack, and there it is. And so you can see that there are a number of tabs over here. You've got your equipment menu, you've got your goods, which are general items like your pickaxes, your potions, your food. You've got your materials, which are used for craft skills, and you've also got your tasks, which is basically your mission items. That all out of the way, if you look underneath each tab right here, you'll see that there's a size increasing area. You can take bags for each category and you can expand the size. So once you get a couple bags, you'll see that you can mouse over them and it'll show you which areas are actually being covered by these bags. So this is the yellow area up there is the expansion area for this red bag, and the expansion area for this blue bag is right there. The other thing that I think there's a bit of confusion about is that there's two types of money in this game. So if you look right here on your backpack menu, you've got two little areas where it appears to be reporting the same thing but with a different symbol next to them. So the bottom number is just coins. This is general silver. So this is what they call bound silver, which is silver that you can't trade in between players. This is the money that you want to go to first when you're trading with NPCs and with basically non-characters. You're always going to use this first. There is a maximum amount that you can spend every day. If you mouse over the little symbol right here, it'll tell you. And if you pause the video right here, you can look down through the bottom of this paragraph, and it says that I can still spend 359 Lang and 428 Wen. Just think of Lang as silver and Wen as copper and Ding as gold. So 1,000 Lang equals 1 Ding, so 1,000 silver equals a gold, 1,000 Wen equals a Lang. And just bear that in mind. Now, the top one, what do you use that for? Well, these are called unbound silver or tails. You can call them either one you want. I just call them unbound silver because it's a little bit easier for people to lock onto, and I probably shouldn't be standing in the middle of the street like this. I'm probably going to get jumped by somebody. The game is open PvP, so with the way that you travel, you always want to be careful. You always want to keep your eyes open, and you just want to be aware. Be situationally aware, and I think a lot of people aren't ready for open PvP. They come from other arena type games, or they come from games where it's much more theme parkish, so you know when and where you can be attacked. And that was a big problem for me, as I'd be standing in the middle of the town and I would just get annihilated by somebody and be like, oh my god, what just happened? And I'd get frustrated. I still do to a certain extent, but just be aware that anybody can attack you at any time with pretty much impunity, unless somebody higher level decides to step in, which they do sometimes. I had a higher level individual take over for me and knock the living Christ out of somebody that tried to jump me in town the other day. It was pretty cool, and then he added me to his friends list, so it worked out fine. So what you're going to use, back to unbound silver before I go too far, you're going to use this for interactions between players. So if I wanted to buy some food from another character, I would use this money right here from another player. So if he cooked up some buns or he had some bacon or anything delicious that I wanted, I would pay him with this money. I would be unable to pay him with the bound silver. Another aspect of the game that I think people get confused about, and let me dismount here because I'm no longer traveling. I'm getting caught up in my diatribe. But anyways, another thing that people get caught up with is just the general interface. So anytime you see the word Jiang-Hu, that just means the world of Kung Fu. That's the first thing that confused me, is like everywhere in this game you're going to see this word right here, this Jiang-Hu word. You're going to see it left and right. Every time you see it, just replace it with the Kung Fu life or the Kung Fu path, I guess. That basically your path of Kung Fu would be a good way to translate it, I suppose. And so that's the world that you're interacting with. Now, let's go over some of the things that we have on screen right here. So your first bar is going to be your health bar, obviously. It does recover at a certain speed. It gets larger as you cultivate your inner skill, which we'll talk about in just a moment. This right here is your energy bar. It also increases as you cultivate your inner skill. And this bar right here is your rage bar. This increases as you block attacks and as you perform attacks against your opponent, which can then be traded in for killer type limit break attacks. Other things you want to be aware of up here are this little tab right here, which says switch attack mode. If you click this, and you click Zhonghu right here, it'll put you in Zhonghu attack mode, which means that you're basically in PvP mode. It will flag everybody around you as a hostile, and only through these criteria right here, so attack protection, it will turn them unattackable if they're in your guild, in your school, or on your friends list is what I have it set to. But if I was to uncheck all of these, I could attack any player I wanted whenever I wanted. It would basically be a giant nasty free-for-all. On these bars up here, you'll see your mailbox, so if the little dove up here is flapping, you'll want to click that. Every day you can get 3 treats or 3 gifts from the system for being logged on for around 2 or 3 hours. I don't know the specific number, but being logged on every day does earn you little treasure chests that you can open that give you potions and food and things of that nature. The next thing that you'll want to look at, and what has gone on, oh, this is a quest. It's offering me a quest right now. They send you carrier pigeons every now and again. They're wanting me to go to an instance. I'm going to refuse that and get back to what I was talking about. And what is he? Okay, he's first understanding. I'll explain the leveling in just a moment. It's kind of relative terms they use, but we'll talk about that after we get through this upper interface. So, Zhonghu VIP, this right here is where you sign up for a subscription. So most of the time you're just going to ignore this. I am subscribed, I am a VIP, and there are a number of benefits to being a VIP. I'll probably talk about that later in the video, but for now I just want to go over the bare basics of gameplay. So this next one right here, you'll see it's glowing. That means I'm actively cultivating. This is the cultivation menu, and this is very important. They don't explain this very well in game because it's poorly translated. I get the feeling that they do explain it pretty well. It's just the languages don't mix very well. So Chinese to English and English to Chinese. English is a very specific language, whereas Chinese tends to be a bit broader. It uses broader strokes to explain itself. Now, I'm no linguistic master. That's just how I've had it explained to me. But here in your cultivation menu, this is very important. And so let's talk about experience first. Now, this little button right here will take you to your experience conversion, and this is a chart that you don't have to be really familiar with. You really only have to look at this central number. Everything else is kind of ancillary. It's not going to really be helpful for you to look at the other bubbles. Now, this is your XP pool. As you go through the game, you do quests, or even as you walk around and travel, as you jump, as you fly, as you do just about anything in this game, you're going to accumulate XP. And this XP comes into this pool right here, and you'll see it's assigned. Right here it's saying that I'm converting XP, 380 XP into cultivation every 100 seconds. And this is what I want to be slow, and I want to explain this really well because I don't feel like they do a good job explaining how it works. So you earn XP, and every 100 seconds, your XP is converted into cultivation. As you gain cultivation, you then use these 3 methods to apply it to a skill or to your inner cultivation. Now, you can think of your inner cultivation as your overall level. You can choose to increase your character level, or you can choose to increase your skill levels. Now, on this meter where we were looking, it assigns the XP somewhat randomly from what I understand. I don't really know how the algorithm works, but they go into these little bubbles. It takes all of them, adds the speeds together, and that's what gives you this central speed right here. Additionally, if you're not a Zhonghu VIP, it puts your extra XP into this potential bubble over here. This is XP you cannot access without signing up for a subscription or paying with real life money. So that's one of the reasons I decided. You'll see here that I have 11,000 potential cultivation that's just wrapped up here from when I was on my trial account. So I did sign up for a VIP. I would recommend it, but this is not the video where I'm going to talk about that. Just be aware that if you're on a free account, you're only getting about 75% of the cultivation that a subscriber would get. And it's not so bad. You can definitely play the game that way. Now that we've gotten cultivation out of the way, let's talk about the methods by which that you can cultivate yourself. So internal cultivation, the best way that I can describe this is that it works like EVE Online. So let's say that I wanted to cultivate something. I would say, let's get rid of that right there, and then we will go to our K menu right here. And so you've got a bunch of moves here, and you would go to any move, and when you click on it, this is in the K menu, by the way, it has this cultivate key right here. If you click that, it means that your cultivation is being actively applied to that ability. But for now, for the time being, let's talk about inner skills, because those are what you want to level up first, because these basically stand for your overall levels. So if you press your K key, so there it is, we're pressing our K key back and forth there, we're just kind of cycling in and out. And you'll go to this top key right here. These are your internal skills. And so I got one from my school, which is Shaolin. If you don't have a school yet, you'll just have your Zhonghu internal skill if you've completed the tutorial. If you activate it, if you mouse over this, so this is another thing that's not explained very well. You can only have your internal skills activated one at a time for a little while. So self-recollection, if I was to activate this, if you pause the video down below, you can see there are a number of skills that would increase. That's what it would do if I would activate it. It would increase my baseline skills to the level 8 of self-recollection. So think of self-recollection as a class almost. And there's a bunch of bonuses. So my damage increased by yin and softness elements. None of that's really explained very well, but just rest assured that activating different internal skills increases the damage and the various attributes of your character in different ways. Now, for now, I've been cultivating my Shaolin internal skill, which is meditation. You can see here it says it's already activated. If we mouse over that, you can see the bonuses it's giving me. It's increasing my brawn and my stamina by a ton. It's also making it so that I deal yang damage and hard damage to my targets. It increases my damage output, and my attacks give me a chance to recover HP, so it's kind of paladinish. If I wanted to cultivate this, I would go to right here and click it, and then I would choose a method by which I would calculate it. So internal cultivation is very much like EVE Online. You click it and your cultivation is applied to the skill no matter what you're doing. It just slowly ticks up. You don't have to do anything special. So this is the one you're going to be using most of the time. Practice martial arts, you're going to click that, and this is where you pay money to increase the speed at which you learn. You'll see I'm going into kind of a little Tai Chi routine here, and there's going to be 3 different tiers. So this one costs me 1 Lang and 50 Wen, this one costs me 4 Lang and 400 Wen, and this one costs me 13 Lang and 200 Wen. So you would assume that the higher monetary amounts would train more and more, and that's true, but there is kind of a gamble to this whole thing. When you click it, you can't guarantee that you're going to get any specified amount. Now, the base amounts that you will get for each one are higher, so the base amount you will get from 5 flower powder is always going to be higher than what you would get from ecstasy soup, so don't worry about ever gambling and losing. You're always going to get more from the more expensive one than you would from the lesser one, but the upper bounds are different. So potentially with 5 flower powder, I could get ridiculous amounts of cultivation done, and in some cases I've seen it drop almost 50 minutes to an hour off my training time, but it does cost you money. And keep in mind, you can only spend so much bound silver a day, and then you're going to have to swap over to the useful silver, the tails, if you wanted to go any further, and you really want to avoid spending tails on anything that isn't an interaction with other players. The other mode by which we can practice is called team practice, and we'll go into that, and there's a different grouping of skills here. If we just click on one, it'll say how many people you need to do that. You can do it by yourself if you want, but the rewards are not going to be so great. It says how many rounds there are going to be, and the rounds, each round is basically like Dance Dance Revolution. It's going to be like up, down, left, right, A, B, start, and you've got to hit all those keys before your time limit runs out, and then it'll advance to the next round. You will get some cultivation points added to your skill. The more people you have, the better. So every single school has a little area where people practice together, and you can go there at almost any time of the day. So for the Shaolin, it's a little cave that's off to the northwest of the map. I don't know where it is for the Tangmen and for the Beggars, for example. I think the Beggars have like an apple blossom tree or something off to like the right on their map. I don't really recall. I might make a video for that later, but the single character limit makes that kind of difficult. And so basically you just play Dance Dance Revolution by yourself or with a group of people, and you want to do this every day. If you have a lot of cultivation stored up, you want to go to that place for your school, and you want to use it until you run out of fatigue. If you take a look here, we'll open the interface. So if I was with a team, they would be standing in a circle around me, but up here at the right, you've got how many rounds there are left. There's how many points you've scored, so it rotates in between people, and if anybody messes up during the rotation of the Dance Dance Revolution minigame, it will mess with your bonus, so you won't get quite as much cultivation. It will break your combo, basically. As more people in order complete the action, the bonus you get gets higher and higher and higher. You have cultivation right here, which is your pool of cultivation. This is how much you have left. So when this runs out, there's no point team training anymore. You're only helping other people. And this fatigue number right here, when it gets up to 100, you can no longer team train. So this is just to keep you from abusing the system and doing it too much. But rest assured, if you have like a ton of team cultivation, or you have a ton of cultivation laying around in your pool, you definitely want to do that until you hit your max fatigue. It can take literally days off of your training time, so bear that in mind. So now that we've talked about the cultivation menu, let me turn my cultivation back on, because the more you level, the stronger you get. So my recommendation for new players would be to take your school ability. So once again, hit your K key, you go to this top tab right here, and then you go to your school internal skill, not your Zhonghu internal skill, your Shaolin or your Tangman internal skill or your Imei internal skill. Click that right there. activate it, and cultivate it, okay? So once you got that down, you're pretty much good to go for the first 15 levels or so. You'll see that I'm at level 13 right now. The recommendation from most people is that you level this up to level 20. So you take your school internal skill and you get it up to level 20 before you do anything else. That's just the rule of thumb. Some people say 15, some people say 20. I'm going to go with 20 because the gains that I've seen from the internal skill cultivation have been incredible. They make you much, much stronger. So before we go too much further, let's talk about the rest of these tabs. So the daily experience tab, this is just random skills and random quests that you can complete. So these are somewhat like missions, but they randomly complete themselves. So you'll see it has an experience reward, how long until it resets in your progress. These are for dealing with troublemakers. So this one right here would be defeat other people who are about the same level as you. So as you can see, they're just random tasks that you can take. Duel with martial arts experts. So you can duel outside of towns to complete this one and get a little bit of bonus XP. Like I said, everything in the game gives you a little bit of XP. And this final one over here is the Zhonghu mode, but that doesn't matter. And this is flapping at me. So you can see here that I've gotten my daily system mail for signing in and staying online for a certain amount of time. The other thing that I want to talk about before we close this out, this is the first little bit of the tutorial, is the My Life tab. This one's also important. So I see a lot of people trying to figure out how they can use their trade skills. So if you want to pick up a trade skill, what you can do is you hit the M key to open up your map, and then you would go to, it's usually to task right here, but you would go to search for NPC. And you can see I already have it selected because I was playing around with this before, but you would select Life Sifu if that's in your town. Some of them aren't going to have a Life Sifu, so keep that in mind. A lot of them will. I'm in Jinling right now, one of the larger cities, but there are, not in this one. So in the east, there's no Life Sifus, but in the west, there will be. Nope, not in the west either. In the south, no, there's not. But in the north, you'll see here Life Sifu. So you click that, and it'll say Ouyang Yi is a fisher trainer and Duanmu Jia is a woodcutter, and you would just click on them and it shows you generally where they're at. So right here is where it's saying he's at with this little axe symbol. If I wanted to go to them, you just left click it and you'll see that it'll auto walk me there. You can also do that with all of your quests. As you get quests, if you get confused about where you should be going, you would go to your task menu right here or over on the right side of your normal play area, and you would just click on anything that's green and it will automatically walk you there. You'll see that it lays out the path for you. This one is actually taking me to another area of the game, so we'll cancel that just by hitting any key. Now, the other thing you want to be aware of is the attack system before we bail out of here. This is our battle, our Zhonghu menu, our battle area. But the one thing you want to be aware of is for PvP and for fighting with enemy characters, a very important feature is the way that the game plays rock, paper, scissors. Now, you'll see that there's a different border on each of these. Green means a buff. It's basically an aura that your character's in that supplies different statistics. So if you have something with a green border, it's going to be a buff. Like I have Golem Subdues Evil, which I get from Bodhidharma's Shaolin style, which uses my internal force level to block and damage an enemy simultaneously. I also have Blocking Horse Step, which I get from my long style Shaolin boxing. And that means that whenever I parry my enemy, I reflect damage towards them. And I actually like that one better. And so just bear that in mind. The green border is a buff. The blue border means that it breaks. They call them feints, but just if you see blue, realize that blue breaks blocks. That's what I assign it to. So characters can block when they're in combat, and if they're block spamming, you want to hit them with a blue ability because that will put them on their ass and it will allow them to be opened up for red attacks. Now, if they're not blocking, feel free to go for red attacks. Red bordered attacks, if they try to use a blue attack on you when you're not blocking and you hit them with a red attack, it's going to stun them back. So the game has kind of rock, paper, scissors going on. If it's got a gray border, don't worry about it. It means it's a non-combat type thing. So I've got kind of arrays here. I've got my whistle for my horse and my sit and breathe technique, which is how you rest and recover your abilities, namely your energy and your HP. The other thing that we should probably talk about before I break off this video, and I know I led into it first, is we should talk about the My Life menu. The My Life menu basically has all of your stats for your civilian life, and what I mean by that is your trade skills. Now you can see down here that I have chef, painter, miner, farmer, woodcutter, and beggar that I've taken. You can have multiples. You can only have one manufacturing skill, so that's what chef is for me, but you can have all the gathering skills and all of the kind of generic skills, and you can also have one scholar skill, which is painting, playing Go, which is kind of like chess, and also using musical instruments, and I believe scholars as well, so people that write tracks and write books, which give you XP. Now, if you click on any of these, this is a question that I see a lot. It opens the crafting interface, which you should be familiar with from any other MMO. If I wanted to craft, say, a Kunyang wine, I would just go to cooking right here, and you'll see that he whips out this little wok type deal, and he starts cooking, and you'll see that this uses up my vigor. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about, is this yellow bar up here is your physical strength or your vigor. That's another issue that I see with the game, is they label things with different names. So your physical strength is your vigor. So if you ever say that it says, like right here, we'll go up on my system menu here, it says deducted 2 vigor points, it's taking it from your current physical strength. When this runs out, you can no longer do trade skills. So this is what you get for the day. Sometimes it regenerates. I think every day in the morning it starts regenerating. I don't really know the specifics of that, but just rest assured every day you will get your physical strength back. Underneath that, you've got this cryptic blue bar that says follow the laws of Flying Eagle Stronghold. This is your nutrition level. When this bar gets lower, it means you need to eat food. So disregard this weird Flying Eagle Stronghold word. This just means that you need to eat. So you can see here that I've got a little bit missing. Were I to eat food, like if I open my backpack with the B key, if I ate a steamed bun right now, and you watch this bar up here, when I finish, it will increase. And boink, there it goes. So now I'm almost full up on nutrition. If your nutrition runs out, you're going to get debuffs and you're going to start starving to death. And why are you flickering at me? I know I just picked up my mail. Go away. Anyways, and so you can see here, this is that being online reward. You can close it down with the X key and it turns into this present. And this bar under here is not used so much. I'm not going to talk about meridians right now because I haven't gotten into them too far, and I want to be able to explain them. I want to be able to explain them to you well, so I don't want to disseminate false information. I don't want to make the whole thing more complicated than it has to be. So other than that, I think that's pretty much where we want to be at. If you wanted to go back to your battle menu, you just click this down here. So if you want to alternate between your trade skill and your combat interface, you just click between my life and my battle. I'm not going to talk about Zhonghu right now because it's not really that important. It's kind of a weird menu that you don't really use too much till later on, so it's not really part of the newbie basics that I would go over. Down here in the bottom right, the last thing that I'd like to talk about are missions, because these are pretty important. Missions are a quick way to get XP, and these are just missions that are available to you all the time. You can either hit the N key or you can click down here. So N or clicking these cross daggers will work. Either one. And so these are tasks that you can take on every single day, and they aren't explained very well. So you can even look at the missions that I'm on just randomly here, but let's take a look at... Let's just look at daily events. So there's escort missions, and there are requirements for these. Now, if I click the escort mission, it'll give you 3 tabs. So the registration area is where you sign up, and it's got a list of all the cities right here. Whatever city you're in, you would just click that, and it will give you a link, and then you can just path to the person that you wanted. The exchange area is where you turn it in, and once again, you can click on whatever city you're in. It'll give you a link. You click on that person, and you can go turn it in. And then it's got the rules. Now, you want to read these rules because they don't explain them very well. It'll allow you to sign up for the quest, but it won't tell you exactly what you should be doing. The rules right here are the best way to do it. So for the escort mission, you have to be in a guild, you have to have 6 players, and how it works is you pay a deposit, you choose an escort route, you protect a caravan as you go along, and if it gets robbed, you get in trouble, and if you're successful, you get the rewards, which are listed right here. And basically it works the same way for all of these. So every single one of these is going to do the same thing. It's going to tell you where you can register, it's going to tell you where you can turn it in, and what the rules are to the given mission. So that out of the way, I think that just about covers a lot of the newbie information that's going to confuse a lot of people, and certainly confuse the hell out of me. I hope that this introduction for new players has helped you. If you have any questions, put them down below, and hopefully I can in some way enlighten the issue. I would like to help new players with this game because I do think it's a very, very unique game that has the potential to be lost in the shuffle of other MMOs, but if you're a fan of things like EVE Online, you'll probably enjoy this game. And so if you have any questions, put them down below. I may do a further... Actually, no, let's talk about some other things right now. So there are a few more things that we can talk about. The character menu. So we'll hit the C key right here. We'll talk about the character menu. And basically, if you look at your strength up here, the game doesn't use a hard leveling system. The game uses a system in which it kind of rounds off. So right now you'll see that mine's untapped potential. You start out weak of body of mind, and as you level your internal skills from your school and from your personal skills, this will increase and become more powerful. So it goes from weak of body of mind to first understanding to it goes from weak of body of mind to lack of understanding to first understanding to, I think, untapped potential to realized potential, and so forth. I'll try to put a link down below for the full explanation. Pressing the C key does take you to this menu. I don't know if I said that already. You can also see your infamy, which is how criminal you are, your nutrition, how much vigor you have, how many flying points you have. If I double jump, you'll see a blue bar show up right here. That's your flying points. So when that runs out, you can no longer use crazy like Jet Li wire fighting moves. It's got your basic stats down here, brawn, which if you mouse over each one, it'll tell you what each one increases. Your alcohol tolerancy, which is cool. That's something I haven't seen since EverQuest. It's also got some other stats, evade, so forth. It'll have your power. All these menus have different things that will explain why you're performing how you are in combat, and you can kind of link them to your other stats. So if it says you get extra bonuses, these are the internal defenses are basically like the elements and things of that nature. They increase as you level up and also as you use your basic and your other random passive skills. You've got 3 different menus right here. You've got your ornamental sets, which is kind of your ornamental outfit. You've got your identity outfit, which comes from your school. It upgrades and becomes more elaborate as you get cooler and cooler. And then you've got your Jianghu costume, which is basically the armor that you're wearing. Your good evil status right here is determined by whether you've been a good guy or a bad guy. You'll see if I mouse over this, I get this little triangle right here. This little ternary diagram is what we call it in geology, where it shows you how many points you have. You get good points for like saving people from being kidnapped. You get bad points for murdering people and for kidnapping people and for stealing from people. And confidence, I don't really know what you get that from. I'm assuming that's going to be elucidated later on, so I can't really talk about that one. There are tabs along the bottom here. Reputation. So right now I'm just unknown. I'm not really well known at this point. And then there's also disciplinary. So different schools. There's schools that are divided by goodness. So I believe Wudang, Shaolin, Imei, and beggars are good, and if you do evil actions, you'll get disciplinary points, and you have to repent for those. I don't remember how to repent, so I'll try and talk to you guys about that, but I think you just go to a certain place in your school and you talk to somebody and it allows you to repent. Every 10 minutes that you repent gets rid of 1 point, so if you go like to the store or something, just turn it on and repent. So really you can do evil stuff as a good school. The bad schools, I believe, are Wanderer's Valley and the Royal Guard, and the neutrals are Scholars and Tangmen. This one down here, this third tab, is where you choose your title, which are divided up by Jianghu School, Life, which are your trade skills, Temporary, I don't really know what's in Temporary, and Special, which I assume are going to be from like instances. And then here it has your mount collection, where it has the collection of stats, how high they can jump for your different mounts. So that's that for the C menu. You want to press T. If you press the T key, it'll take you to your teleport menu. And this is probably the last thing we'll talk about because I feel like this is running on a little long. There's not a lot of interesting things happening on screen. But your T key takes you to your teleport menu. This allows you to Hearthstone or move around the map a little bit quicker. It'll give you one for your school, and it'll also give you one for the place that you start. But if you wanted to expand, you click Extend right here, and it will cost you money. And once you do that, you can click this tab right here, and it will allow you to choose from all of the ones in your current scene. So I could choose to add these to my menu. And so you pay money to get more teleport points, and you just add them from this little plus sign. And I thought that person turned around for a second. I'm not trying to pick a fight right now while I'm doing this tutorial. So you can compare your skill level to other characters, like this guy's Unfathomable, but just look at the color. The hotter the color, the warmer the color, the more they're probably going to kick your ass. And all that out of the way, I think this is all I wanted to explain for the course of this episode. I may make a new tutorial where I talk about the different school missions you can do, but for the time being, I feel like we're in a good spot. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. I'm going to try and annotate for all the different aspects of the video, but if I don't, let me know down in the comments if this was helpful. I'll see you guys next time. My name is Splattercat, and take care out there, everybody.